Are you interested in creating a rocket farm so you can easily fly with your elytra in your Cobblemon world, but you have the issue of not having passive or hostile mobs enabled at the same time? Well, I have the solution for you, and it's pretty easy. There are two parts to this. You need to make a sugarcane farm, and you need to make a gunpowder farm. Let's get into it. First and foremost, you need to make a sugarcane farm. That's relatively simple. This is a basic one that I use to help farm my sugarcane without worry. Let's just put this right here. The hopper will go right here, and the chest will go right here. And so we want to make it 8 blocks because that's the distance water goes. This is 7, this is 8. So now we put the water right here, and then we just fill this in with blocks. It doesn't matter what block you use. I just use glass to make it easier to see how I'm doing this. Next, we also need to put a block right here so we can make sure that the drops don't fall behind when it's pushed out. Next, we put a piston right here on top to push the sugarcane when it reaches maturity. When we say maturity, we mean a 3-block high tallness, I guess would be the word. Now let me just finish this up right here. Alright, next we need to put the observers. So if you put it this way, the redstone input will come towards the sugarcane. We want it to be the other way around. So instead of the arrow facing this way and the face facing this way, we want to turn it around so it becomes like this instead. So the face faces that way and the arrow is this way. Because the observer receives the redstone input from this side. So we just place our observers right here. And then next we need a block for the redstone to sit on. You can use any block here. I'm just using grass block. And then we just put the redstone on here. I have a mod or add-on that shows me what the redstone level is. But anyway, now that we have this, we just have to simply just let the sugarcane grow. So let's put it at 2. And then when I do this, all the sugarcane will drop into this chest right here. As I do these tutorials, I realize how bad at putting together sentences and speaking I am compared to how I was in the past. And, you know, I need to work on my speaking and English skills, my formulation ability. But anyway, now we finished the sugarcane farm, which is the first half. Now we need to work on the second half, which is the gunpowder farm. First and foremost, I'll dig a hole where I want to place my chest. But before that, we need to decide what Pokemon will we use that drop gunpowder. Well, according to the official Cobblemon website, we only have one Pokemon or one option with 2 different forms. It is Voltorb and Electrode. But anyway, one thing to note when we place our hoppers is we'll require 11 hoppers, which is 55 iron, and 11 chests, a pasture block, and you'll need some blocks. You can use transparent, and then you'll definitely need soul soil, unless you want to use minecarts, but I'm not a fan of putting all that together. I want to use the least amount of redstone possible. So first and foremost, we connect our pasture block to our chest using a hopper because we want to collect all the eggs that we drop from our farm. Second of all, we need to note the distance that Electrode will spawn. So if we see here, Electrode will spawn 3 or 4 blocks away from the pasture block, whereas Voltorb will spawn 2 blocks away. So we need to make sure they're all within distance. Same thing with the Hisuian forms. So what we do with that is I make sure that there's 4 blocks away, like this, as Voltorb will spawn on this one even if we have blocks right here. Next, I will make a 3x3 and I'll fill it up with hoppers like so. I have directional hoppers installed on purpose. I just like seeing what direction they face. And then we'll fill this in, making sure that they can't escape. But wait, there's another step and I'll have to raise it by 1 level again. The reason being is we're putting soul sand right here to make sure we can collect the drops. The reason being we choose soul sand and not the other blocks is because when we drop something, let's say above glass, it won't do anything. But if we drop it above the grass block, it doesn't do anything. If we drop it above dirt block, it doesn't do anything. But if we drop it above soul soil, it's able to pass through the sand, or soul sand, I mean not soul soil, and it can get absorbed by the hopper and brought into our chest. So that's the easiest way, or the easiest block to use, so we don't have to use minecarts and redstone rails and all that. Nothing against redstone, but I'd rather not take as much energy possible to build something. Now that we have our enclosure, we will insert our Pokemon into here. Voltorb is in there. Nice. I'm an Electrode, and then we have our Voltorb right here. Then we can do our other Electrode. As we can see right here, there's some issues because the other Electrode will spawn in the 4th block right here because we already have other Pokemon in this region. So you need to choose what Pokemon you want to insert first. And then even then, it can still pass through because it's big enough to where it can pass through the blocks. That's why I suggest you go with the regular versions. It's pretty simple. You can store up to 16 Pokemon per pasture block. So if we had them side by side, we could, select another Pokemon to be part of this farm. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same thing, but you can have a total up to how many pasture blocks you place near this times 16. So if you have 3 pasture blocks, you can have 48 Pokemon in your enclosure, but you need to make sure you have adequate space so they don't phase through the exterior walls of your enclosure. Alright, that is it for this tutorial. Please let me know how you guys feel about this, and if you have any issues, please leave it down in the comments below. Also, make sure you guys comment on what you want to see next. I can do regular redstone or I can do Cobblemon related, it doesn't matter. Just ask for a tutorial, comment, like, subscribe, and see you next time.